episode of Mimi's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Lungo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you've joined me on another Wednesday for another amazing episode. So, today I'm still going to give a disclaimer. I'm recording this a little bit earlier. It's at 11:45. My neighbors are still awake, as I said the previous Wednesday, and someone is playing loud music. These things might not even been caught on the recording, but I just tell you, just in case you have very good earphones or I don't know, whatever listening device that you're listening through, because some might catch the noise and some might not. And yeah, so I just have to give a disclaimer and apologize. I'm really sorry. I'm already sleepy and it's 11:45. This is the earliest I've felt like sleeping in such a long time. I don't know what's happening. 11:45 and I'm already feeling sleepy. Problem is I might go to bed and wake up at 6 or 5 or 4. So I decided to record right now, so that will give me like an hour and a half of recording. And then after that, I start my night routine and then I go to bed, which will make me sleep for my 5-6 hours. So I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you to the new subscribers. I've seen that you've added more subscribers. We're now at 42, which, well, I don't know what's happening. Next month on the 16th, we'll be celebrating 1 year of Mimi's Musings podcast. Whoop whoop. I'm so happy, like I've pushed this thing for a whole year. I can't even believe it, which it just baffles my mind, because there are things that you think of doing and you plan and you want to bring new people in and you want to do that and you want to do that, but they never really work until you just put your foot down and be like, yeah, I'm starting. And so I started, and I'm so grateful. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. But yeah, we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary soon, and I'm really grateful. Last week's episode on Wednesday, when I was recording it last time, I forgot one thing. I was recording it on a holiday, like October 10th. That's when I was recording it, and it was a holiday. That's why there was so much noise. That's why there was loud music. People were up and down because they knew the next day they weren't going to work. It was a long holiday. So that's why there was so much noise, and I didn't even remember. That's the problem with working from home, being at home all the time. You don't even know that there are, like holidays coming up and stuff. Because while I was employed, I would have remembered there's a holiday coming, because that would have meant that I'll be at home on that day to rest. And long holidays, I loved them. I loved Easter. I loved, any holiday that fell on a Friday, knowing that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be at home. So if I was employed, I would have known. But because I wasn't, I didn't know. And I didn't even remember it until the next day, I think, or something like that, when I saw it online. Oh, it was crazy. It was so crazy. But yeah, I'm glad that it happened. I recorded anyway, and I was able to edit and I put them out. And I hope that you enjoyed the episode. So yeah, today there's music. Definitely there's music. I hope it won't get louder as I continue, because I don't want to stop for a long time, because as I've said, I'm very sleepy. So let me just get on to today's episode. So on today's episode, I'm going to be giving a review of a South African movie called Blessers. Blessers is a 2019. It's tagged as comedy, but maybe it's a dramedy, I don't know. Written by Kumaran Naidu and directed by Rea Rangaka. The cast members include Kenneth Nkosi, he plays Jacob Zulu, Sonny Mbele plays Michelle Zulu, Six Nyamane plays Natasha Zulu, Koni Chume plays Malerato, Katu Ramabulana plays Talent, Neymaps Mafalala plays Katleho, Mfindile Gwala plays Tessa, Hlengiwe Ngubane plays Bonolo, Caroline Stein plays Lindsay, Sholofelo Wachemang plays Lulu, Zodwa Nkosi plays Felicia, Jonathan Taylor plays George, Mohouse Soni plays Kanyi, Kumaran Naidu plays Mr. Gupta, Wesley Howe plays Mr. Wu, Kaseran Philip plays Mr. G, that's the landlord, amongst other cast members. Now, if you love spoilers like me, please continue listening to this or watching this video. If you do not, I'd urge you to leave, go to Netflix, watch the movie, and then come back and tell me if you agree with me or if you do not, because this is the official spoiler alert. So, this movie centers around this family who are blessers, and one of them is the blessee. It was crazy. Like, I've never seen such a complicated movie. And by complicated, I don't mean hard to understand. I mean so stuffy. I thought Chief Daddy was a lot. This one was all over the place, just like Chief Daddy was, but in a different way, in a more raunchy way. And of course, as I always say, I'll start watching and I'll be like, yeah, this is what is going to happen, and is what is going to happen. It was a little bit predictable for me after some time, but anyway, it was still a good watch, but I was stressed most of it because whatever that was happening was very, very chaotic. So the movie starts with these two people in a car and they're doing the hanky panky, and then they talk a little bit. The man that is Jacob Zulu gives this lady, the one that he was with doing the hanky panky, a necklace, and then we are shown like that was 25 years ago. So now we're shown in the present. That is Jacob Zulu and his wife, Michelle Zulu. Then the house, the house manager, Malerato, brings in the breakfast. So it's sausage, and I think there was bacon and stuff like that on a tray. And Michelle is one of these very serious people. Like, she's a businesswoman, she's a CEO of her own company, she founded it and stuff. And Jacob, he works also in a company where he's also the co-founder of the company. And so they have money and they live this lavish lifestyle. But Michelle is very, very, I don't know, very aggressive and very serious and all of these things. So she starts bringing down her husband, actually shouts at the maid to take the food back to the kitchen because the husband has added so much weight and he should be eating more fruits and stuff like that. And it was just crazy how that whole conversation happened. And this man just sat there and took it. I know he tried to fight a little bit, even tried to defend the house manager because Michelle was really, really talking down at her, like yelling, and it wasn't a good thing. But Michelle didn't care. She was like, yeah, it's my seriousness that makes these people do their job well. And so she eventually leaves and he also follows, and they go to work. At work, there's this man who's very, very racist. He's the co-founder together with Jacob at their company, and they were going to have this meeting where I think they were getting more investors or something like that. And so they were talking about that, how it's going to be. Jacob had asked Michelle if she was going to join in the meeting, and she was like, I don't know. I'll see if I'll be able to spare some time to come and join you, which was crazy. I understand, like, every one of them has their own thing, but I don't know. I'm not married, so I won't judge on that. But then that day comes and she doesn't show up. So it makes him look for somebody else around the group, the people that are at the party, to play his wife. And that's who he introduces to the rest of the group as his wife. Because I think the investors only would have invested if his wife was present. Like, they want to work with family people or something like that. So that happens and it was crazy. And so while they're doing that, the daughter, Natasha, she's on another side, twerking for her friends who aren't really her friends. I think they're those kinds of friends that are around you because you come from money and stuff like that. And so she does that and they start talking. She was planning for a trip to Bali for all of her friends. And who was paying for it? Her dad. I mean, that's why they say, even if you have money, teach your child from a very young age that your money is your money, not theirs, and they should work for their own money. But when you spoil your child, this is what happens. So by the time she goes to try and book the trip, blah, 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 the dad has cancelled her credit card. So she couldn't be able to use it. I don't know if it was a credit card or just a debit card. I don't know. But yeah, the dad had cancelled it because I think she was being very careless with it. And so she gets upset and asks one of her friends to drive her to the party where her dad is. And she goes and calls him by the name, like, Jacob Zulu, come here. And I'm like, yo. Wow. Because if it were me, my child does that to me, I do not care how old you are. Akutakula coffee. I promise you, I'll slap the hell out of you. You can't do that to your father. It doesn't matter like what you feel or what you think. This man raised you. This man educated you. This man feeds you. This man, you're enjoying life because of him. And you think that you can just call him by his name in front of everybody in a company function. Like investors are there, business partners are there, all of these other people, employees and stuff. And she came there shouting and I was like, yeah, she has her mom's behaviors. Terrible, terrible. So the dad takes her by the hand and goes home with her. He takes her to the house and they yell at each other some more. And he tells her that she needs to grow up and that he's no longer willing to support her and stuff like that, which to her, she takes it as abandonment, not like, oh, a chance for me to grow up. And so she packs her things, yelling at her parents. The mom walks in while they're yelling at each other outside the door. And she just goes like, do not put me in between your chaos. And she goes in and does her own thing. She goes to bed. Natasha packs her bags and she leaves for her friends. She called all the other friends that she wanted to take to Bali. None of them wanted to host her. So one of the others is the one who took her. And this one, her parents died while she was young and she had to work from a pretty young age. I think she said 14 or something like that. So in the house, Jacob goes to bed. The wife is already asleep and he tries to, go for some hanky panky, but the wife goes like, yeah, no, I'm tired. I can't do this, which brings an argument because they start arguing because they have let each other go and stuff like that. And so she does some stupid thing that she did. You have to go and watch the movie to understand. But yeah, so Natasha leaves, goes to her friends, and the friend is like, you have to chip in with the house bills and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll go and look for a job tomorrow. Natasha wakes up the next day, goes to this car dealership, starts checking out a car and steals it. Now, the salesperson who was talking to her is Talent. And Talent, I don't know why he left the car keys because I've never gone to a showroom, but I don't think you're supposed to leave the keys inside the cars because that will just make it very, very easy to steal. And so this was a 2 million rand car, and Talent just left the car keys inside because he was going inside to, I don't know, talk to somebody because she was like, my dad is going to take care of this, blah, blah, blah. And so when he went inside, she ran off with the car. She drove off with the car. And so he got fired. And that was crazy to me because, okay, so she steals a car. I get that Talent did a mistake, yes. But you know how to get this girl because you know the dad. Why fire Talent? It was a small mistake. Why fire him? Now, Talent goes home and he lives with his roommate, Katleho. And these two people, they're just bachelors. Katleho works as, how to put this in a nice way? He sleeps with older women. He's one of the blessees, if I might call him that. And that, in my mind, I was like, that's supposed to give him money, but they cannot afford rent because Talent has been fired, as if he's the only one who used to bring in the money and stuff. So they haven't paid rent for 2 months, I think. And so they're talking about it. Their landlord comes and starts yelling at them to open the door and stuff. And they hide, but then he opens because of course he has a master, and he comes in and threatens them and blah 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 blah. So they're talking, they don't know what to do next, but they come up with a way. eventually. So on the other side, Jacob got upset that night after arguing with the wife and went to sleep on the couch. So the next day he goes to the office. He's talking to his business partner, and this man is just a terrible person. He's not only racist, but he's also just bad mannered and stuff. And so he advises Jacob that if he's not getting any at home, he knows of a place where he can take him to go and get whatever he needs that he's not getting from the wife. And so that evening they go to this house, and there are ladies there, and there's this man who does things to Jacob, and then he takes him to this room, and Jacob experiences something he has never experienced before with a couple of women. And so that becomes a thing he does on the regular. Now, the daughter, on the other hand, she's staying with a friend. Like, the friend has been leaving for work, but she didn't know what the friend does. Eventually, one day, she sees her being brought home, and she kisses this guy, and so she's pretending not to know what was happening. When the friend comes in and talks to her, she's like, "Yeah, that's my client. That's not my boss." Blah blah blah. Anyway, a few days later, I think the lady, the friend, this job that she used to do, she needed somebody else who cancelled on her, and so she's like, "I don't know what I'm going to do." And then she decides, okay, I think I'll bring Natasha. And so she talks to Natasha, and they go to this party. They were just going to hang, as she told her. But before that, Natasha met Talent again. So she had gotten this job as a waitress in a restaurant. And so these ladies were making an order, and she started correcting them. Like, that's the worst thing that a waiter could do. Like, if you're ordering a steak and she goes like, "Are you sure you want to eat a steak? Like, with the way you look, she'll be eating like leafy vegetables and stuff like that." It was bad. And so she got fired. That's when she was leaving, she was in the lift, and this guy walks in, and he was on the phone. And then after he hangs up, he checks her out. He's like, "You," and she also goes like, "You." And so they remember each other, and it's like, "You made me get fired." And so they talk, and they decide to go and eat, because she goes like, "Are you hungry?" He goes like, "Yeah." So they go to this restaurant, and they order, I think it was seafood and a bottle of champagne and stuff. And these people, both of them do not have a job, and they do not have money. And so when the bill comes, he tells her, like, "You got this, right?" And she goes like, "No, I thought that you got it." And I was like, "How?" He just told you in the lift that he got fired, he hasn't been able to pay his rent, and he can barely feed himself. And now you're taking him out, and you want him to be the one to pay. Where do you think that money is going to come from? It was really, really crazy. So, of course, they ended up washing the dishes in the restaurant because, yeah, if you can't pay the bills, unachonga waru ama unaosha vyombo. So they ended up washing the dishes, and while they were there, sparks fly, and they ended up kissing. But then they continued washing until they finished. They went home together, they exchanged numbers, and they start dating. So when the friend tells her to go with her to hang out with these people, she already has a boyfriend, and that is Talent. But she goes to that place. This is her first time. She enters this room, and there are all these men dancing with these young girls, and these girls are wearing things, yo. Hey, but then her first time was a little bit easier, I should say, because she didn't do much. This man that she went into a room with was so drunk, he just passed out, and she took the money and left. But that became something that she did now. So she hung out with blessers who gave her money. Some would just cry and talk to her about their own problems at home and stuff like that. She would want to leave, but they're like, "No, we're remaining. We still have an hour remaining," and stuff. So she'll have to sit down and wait until they finish talking and crying. So that became her lifestyle. On the other hand, her mom, Michelle, she's at work. She's like complaining to a friend of hers, like, "You know what? My husband, he doesn't listen. He's like this, he's like that. Yesterday I tried to be intimate, he refused. And I mean, I just miss, you know, doing the hanky panky." And so this friend of hers, of course, it's always the friend, advises her that, it doesn't have to be your husband. If you don't want to leave your husband, but you still want to be happy, find a young boy who can satisfy you, but then you go back to your husband. So happy wife, happy husband, and happy life. And so nobody will be hurt and stuff. So she's like, "What you mean?" And the friend advises her and tells her to look for those men, those boys for those men somewhere. And she does. And so when she links up with a guy, it is Katleho, who is Talent's roommate. And so on the other side, Talent and Katleho, their landlord is tired of them. He's brought in some people to take away their furniture and everything. They're being auctioned. So they're left in an empty apartment. At least they still have the apartment because they weren't chased out. And so Katleho goes like, I have a client. I'm sick. I can't go and see her, but I think you can. And so he goes to see the client. When he gets into the room, guess who he's meeting? As I said, I was guessing these things before they even happened. The person that he went to meet was Michelle. That is Jacob's wife and Natasha's mom. Natasha, who he is dating. Yo. And so they go there, they do the hanky panky, and she's enjoying it, she's loving it and everything. And it was a crazy scene, but yeah, whatever happened. And so he goes back and he's not feeling so good about what he did. And remember, this lady didn't know that they had changed. She still thought that she was dealing with Katleho, but it wasn't him, it was Talent. And so the boys managed to pay their rent, and the ladies, of course, they're continuing with their life. She's still partying and stuff. So one time, this man Jacob goes into a room and all of these ladies are there. It's a party. One of the business people that they met during the first party is there, and he tells him to go to this room and entertainment will follow. And so that's all they were doing. These ladies come in. One of them is Natasha. The other one is her friend, and the other one is a friend of the friend. And so they come into the room, and they're told where to go. So Natasha goes into the room where her dad is. Like, this part was just crazy. She goes and she's standing there looking outside the window. The dad comes in. They're both in masks. And so, I don't know. She goes back and sits on her dad's lap. I was like, please do not start twerking. Please do not start twerking. Have you ever watched something and it terrified you? Because just sitting on her dad's lap is not a problem, but sitting on her dad's lap, I was imagining like maybe he has a head-on or something like that, and it's just traumatizing in all ways. I screamed in my house so badly. I don't know if my neighbors heard and were wondering what's happening, but I was like, no, 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 Jesus Christ, like this cannot be happening. So she goes back to the window and removes the clothes that she was wearing on top, and she was in a lingerie and the inside. Then the dad follows her, unzipping, already with the belt already, like, yo. When I said this thing was chaotic, it was chaotic. And so just when they're about to do more and to kiss and see each other naked, basically, she removes his mask and she goes like, Dad. And yo, I felt like the second-hand embarrassment for them on their behalf, because what was that? I understand the concept of this movie. I understand it. But that would have traumatized me for life. But these people, she goes outside by the lift, and the dad follows, and they sit down and they talk about it. She's like, he's like, when I say that I'm no longer going to be taken care of, it doesn't mean that I do not worry about you, that I do not care for you, because what is this? Why would you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And they talk about the entire thing, and she says, my boyfriend is going to kill me. And he goes like, oh, so you have a boyfriend? Yeah, I would like to meet him. And she goes like, okay, fine. That's just how they resolve it. I was like, this is trauma. This is trauma for days. Maybe it's my overthinking mind, but I was like, no, 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 no. That incident will have traumatized me for the rest of my life. But these people dealt with it as if it was nothing. Like, you almost slept with your dad. Your dad felt you up. It does not matter that they didn't do a lot, but he did. And his mind was there. And yo. But anyway, so they talk and he goes home and he talks to the house manager, Malerato, and he tells her that going to have visitors the next day, so she should prepare a lot of food. And so she does, but she's been complaining about it because she has been wanting her salary to be raised and stuff. So anyway, the next day, or I think it was the same day, that evening, um Natasha comes with talent to meet the parents, and of course, the mom sees him, and she's surprised, but she pretends not to have ever met him. And she goes like, "Hey, Natasha, have you shown him around?" She goes like, "No." She takes him away to go and show him around the house. And then she goes by the pool and jumps him and starts kissing him. And I'm like, what kind of family is this? Like, honestly, what kind of family is this? Who does this? Like before, when you slept with him, we could say, yeah, you didn't know that he was dating your daughter, but now you know that he's dating your daughter, and you jump him. You start kissing him. What are you doing? And so they go back to the dining room and they start eating. And by the way, while they were kissing, Malerato saw them. And so while they are there eating, Malerato comes in and starts talking to them, saying that they refused to add her salary. And so she doesn't know who this man is dating. And the wife has been kissing her. Like, she spilled the beans, okay? And so Jacob gets upset. He wants to fight him. And so while they're trying to fight each other, the necklace that, you remember at the beginning, he was with a woman in a car doing the hanky panky, and he gave her a necklace. So that necklace falls down. Jacob sees it and he's shocked and he runs out. So, of course, you might think that, oh my God, that's his son who slept with the wife, which might not be bad because they're not blood related. But I don't think he and Natasha had gotten to that point yet. I don't remember them being shown doing the hanky panky. So I was like, okay, so he didn't sleep with the sister, but he kissed her. And he was thinking about terrible, terrible things to that he could do with her or to her. And so, but later on, he goes and meets this lady, the first lady that he was with in the car. And he's like, yo, so what about my son, Talent? And she's like, no, 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 that's not our son. That's not my son. He's my sister's son. And they gave him the necklace because that's the closest thing I'll ever have to a son, because I'm a lesbian and stuff. And so, yeah, while they are talking, that's where the movie ends. So I don't know if that's where the movie really ends, because I watched it on YouTube actually. So the Netflix that I've been using is not mine. I haven't paid for my own Netflix for, I think, the whole year actually. Since December last year, if I'm not mistaken, I've been using someone else's Netflix and I haven't had access to it for the past 2 days. And so I'm still hoping to save enough to go back to my own account because I miss it as well, just depending on people. But yeah, so I was like, okay, this is the movie I'm supposed to be watching, but it's on Netflix. And actually, you should go and watch it on Netflix because it expires tomorrow. It's supposed to come out of Netflix. Actually, not tomorrow, but today. Yo, it's the 29th. Yeah. So this episode is coming out on the 29th. And I think that's when it's also coming out of Netflix, or tomorrow, the 30th. Either one of those 2 days. So go and watch it. But if you don't catch it on Netflix, it's on YouTube. So you can watch it on YouTube because I watched it on YouTube. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure if that's where it really ends. Like, because that part was just cut. They were talking and it goes like, oh, okay. And then it just ends there. So I don't know if that was the real ending or if it wasn't. But yeah, it was funny and weird and I didn't understand it, but that's basically the ending that I saw. So I loved all the characters. I mean, Kenneth Nkosi is always amazing. Connie Chume is an amazing actress. I love the younger cast. That is Six Nyamani, Katu Kevin Ramabulana. These are Natasha and Talent, respectively. Katleho, I think I've seen him in something else, but I'm not so sure. Michelle, that is Soni Mbele. I don't know where I've seen her before. But I loved all these characters, honestly. They were amazing. The acting was good. It's just that, I don't know. I don't know the point of this movie, what they were trying to show. Like, is it wrong to have blessers, or is it okay? Or, like, if you have a blesser, it might be your daughter. They were trying to teach us something, of course. Yeah, there's a lesson to be learned in there. But the way they went about it was just crazy. Because, I wish he would have just seen her with another man, you know, like doing that, and he would have understood that, me doing this with younger girls, girls who are someone else's child, it might, like, it's my own daughter could be doing this thing as well. But the way they brought it about, it was like, so he cut her off, and so her only way to move forward was to go and be a blessee, or I don't know, whatever they call them, an escort, a prostitute, whatever it is that they call them. So that was her only way. This is an educated kid. Like, anyway, there were so many things. I was like, I get what you're trying to teach us, but the way they went about it was just so chaotic. And that family is just a caste family. Because the father sleeps with, younger girls. The mom sleeps with younger boys. The daughter is dating those younger boys, and she's also sleeping with older men. Have dad's friends, basically. So that family is cast, okay? But yeah, I loved all the characters. They did their job. Their acting was good. That's why I was so confused, and so I was screaming in my house, honestly. They would do things and I'd be like, I know this is coming, but when it really happened, I was like, no! Because why? Yo. Anyway, the direction, the cinematography, the music. Do I remember any particular song? I don't remember, but there was definitely music, but I think it was just instrumental. Anyway, I never remember these things. I don't know why. Unless the music was really catchy, that's when it usually sticks, but not always. I love the house manager, Malerato. Now, this is the comedic side of this movie. The other thing was chaotic. Then that family is chaotic. But Malerato, being the house manager, she had been asking for salary raise since the movie began until the end, when she is the one who told everybody everything. But this woman was always drunk in that house. Even at the end, when she's telling the truth, she's also asking her boss, like, where did you take the gin? Because she and her friends usually drink in that house once the bosses are off. So the first time we see her drinking, she's at the house. The bosses have all gone for that party that Jacob was hosting for his investors and stuff. And so the house managers from other houses as well, they were there. These are Malerato's friends. And they were gossiping about their bosses. They're in that house, they're playing pool. They're drinking very expensive alcohol. And I'm like, didn't the bosses realize that this alcohol was being drunk? Or do they just don't care? Because if I had left alcohol in my house and I go wherever to work or to a party and I come back and I want to take that bottle and, have a drink, a sip, a shot or something before I do whatever, and I find that a bottle is missing, I'll be like, who's been drinking it? And if it's my house manager, then she's getting fired, definitely. Because if I didn't give you permission to drink, why are you drinking, and why are you drinking on your job? Because that is your workplace. It's not about that you're going off, then I can give like a bottle, like you're going for your off or leave, and I'm like, oh, hey, since you're leaving, take a bottle and go and enjoy it with your husband or with your friends. She was literally drinking on the job. That is a fireable offense. And I don't mean to be hard ass or something, but that was terrible. But these ladies were there gossiping about their bosses, saying things like they're speaking in, I think that's Zulu, but they were speaking in Zulu or whatever language they were speaking in, and they're gossiping about their bosses and the things they're saying. It was so hilarious, but also so crazy. And they're drinking. And one of them had even the nerve to ask, like, where's our gin? Why doesn't your boss restock the gin? It's ours. I was like, hey, the audacity. Because all of them should have been fired. They got drunk. Malerato got drunk so much. Every single chance she got, she was drinking. The bosses are in the house, they're doing their thing. She's drinking from the bottle, straight from the bottle. She cooks, she finishes, she drinks. And that was not the only gossiping part. There was also another moment after Jacob came, after he felt his daughter up, and he came back to the house and said that, he was expecting a visitor. He did the same thing again. She was doing the same thing again. She gossiped about the bosses with the friends again, because she was like, I think my boss has a problem because he's too drunk and he's saying that, we're going to have a visitor, and that is Natasha, and he chased her away. And I was like, yo, these women, how is our house manager drinking like that? This person can sell your entire house and leave you like that. But I also understand her frustration because these bosses aren't paying her enough. But then I'm like, those bottles are very expensive. Why don't you sell just one bottle and get the money that you need, instead of drowning in alcohol and just acting crazy? But yeah, that was a funny moment. Every time I saw them drinking like that, I just laughed because I was like, something terrible is about to happen. Somebody will say something, and I knew she was going to be the one to break the news to Natasha that her boyfriend was kissing her mom. And that's exactly what happened. But yeah, they were amazing. And Malerato, I loved her character so much. That is Connie Chume. I loved her character as Malerato. It was crazy. Like, the things she was saying to her boss, especially to Jacob, was crazy, 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 crazy. But yeah, I love the movie. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Just like Chief Daddy, because it was chaotic. It was all over the place. Like, I get what they were trying to do. I understand the message they were trying to pass, but it was just so ew for me. Honestly, I was like, no, 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 no. That would have been traumatizing for me. Like, for life. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Go and watch it. As I said, I think it's leaving Netflix either today or tomorrow. So if you watch this after it has already left Netflix, go and watch it on YouTube. It's there. Just type Blesses South African movie and you'll get it. And yeah, it's an amazing watch. But I'll give also a disclaimer: if you do not like raunchy movies, do not watch it, because you're going to get upset. You're going to be, I don't know, to feel some type of way, and I don't want you to feel that. We are adults. I hope so, because I usually mark that is not for kids. So I'm advising you, watch it, but watch it with caution. Just understand there's a lot of suggesting language and a lot of hanky-panky happening. So be careful. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it at this. And yeah, try and record the second part for Saturdays. So please go down on the comment section. Comment if you agree with me or if you do not. That is, if you have watched the movie, remember to watch the movie first and then come back and tell me if you agree with me or not. Go to my Instagram, Mimi's Musings Podcast. Comment over there whenever I upload this. Remember to please subscribe here and also to follow me there, because I really, really need. And as I said at the beginning, I'm really grateful for the people who have joined the 42, that now we are 42. I'm very, very appreciative. Yeah, remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I put something new, you're going to be amongst the first people to come and watch. Okay, bye bye now.